sitting upon the throne of chaos, master of all his race, master and satiate, 'tis he we come to slay chaos.
Hello there. I've been asked by Thomas Duda to talk a bit about world building, specifically the rise and fall of nations and the importance of bloodline. Why has he asked me? I'm Samuel Z. Jones. I'm a fantasy author. I've written 20 novels. It just gets hard to keep track after a while. To me, the first thing I think of with bloodlines is the lines of the British kings, the rise and fall of nations, but as charted through royal families. And it's not something that I write down sort of very early on in world building. I don't really sit down and think about the lineages of the royal family within a story. That kind of develops. And we've also got this concept of this special bloodline, this chosen few by virtue of their birth, etc. It's not really a trope that I like to express too strongly in fantasy. It is there, but this whole notion that the character needs some special destiny, some special origin, some special lineage in order to be a special character, that doesn't really gel with me. It's more of a, why does the hero have to be a prince? Why is a genuine peasant child not important enough that if they go and do some great thing, if they're called to some great destiny, or if they're called to undertake some impossible quest, why do they need to be royal? It's almost a trope of our society that we kind of retrofit our heroes into the royal family in order to try and make out that there's something special about that person that enabled them to succeed. It wasn't that they were bold or desperate or intelligent or that they had loads of help. It was just that they've got the special blood, so destiny conformed to not what I do, not the way I do it at all. For me, I think a character should be important because characters are important, because characters are important, because characters are important. It's the whole purpose of writing for me is largely about character and expressing things like that, and seeking verisimilitude, seeking some kind of literary truth, if I can be quite that pretentious, seeking understanding, seeking meaning. And for me that lies in the development of character, in the development of, I hope, psychologically complex, realistic characters. So to me, to then turn around and say this one was always going to be the chosen one because they're the chosen one, that's kind of anathema to the way I come up with a character. Characters are important not because of their lineage, not because of their magic blood, but because characters are important. I mean, I can't really explain why you should care about people, but for me the exercise of writing is largely to do with caring about people and trying to understand them better. It can be a completely fruitless endeavour, but you know. Where do bloodlines fit in what I do in my work? I would say in the generational quality of fantasy writing, in the point that your young hero ultimately grows up. Your young hero eventually completes their task, marries the princess or the prince or the whoever, sits on the throne, does the thing, completes their quest, does the thing, retires. What now? There comes a point where you've developed a character so much that you can't really do much with them anymore. You get something of, in fantasy you get something of what you might call the Conan syndrome, where it becomes hard to credibly threaten the character. It becomes hard to credibly give them difficulties and challenges. Ultimately what you have to do is hand on to the younger generation. I mean, we've seen that in my own work, the Akurite Empire, where current king, the Lord Protector, is the last of the original generation of the war. And we're now in the story, what, 2 or 3 generations on now, looking at the first generation to grow up without the war. Over the course of the 20 novels so far, we have indeed seen the rise and fall of empires, we've seen nations smashed, and we're now in the phase of rebuilding. We're in the rise period, I think. It's very easy in fantasy to talk about the fall of nations, the smashing and burning of cities, but it becomes a point when you run out of cities to burn. Completely lost my spelling and notes here. When it comes to bloodlines, I think in terms of generations and dynasties. As our setting grows, we can use bloodlines in the conspiratorial illuminist sense, representing aspects and institutions of government as invested characters. The wizards of the coven can stand for different contending forces within society. If you need to represent a specific interest, you need a character to hang it on. The Grand Vizier can represent corruption in the royal court, or the Minister of War can put a human face on war as an objective in itself. The king or ruler represents either a utopian ideal of the fantasy nation or the personification of whatever's wrong with their society. There's certainly a place for these bloodlines and their associated tropes, but it's a system of structures that assist in telling the story. It's not the base mechanic of the story itself. Bloodlines are important because family is important. It's a whole dimension of character that's easily dismissed in a genre replete with orphan boy heroes pre-selected by destiny to wield the mystic wasp name and overthrow the evil Ujima ship of wherever. Where lineage occurs in my writing, I tend to subvert the tropes, you know, more into these sorts of concerns over character building. I feel the whole notion of external destiny tends to undermine that, and that is actually what it's more about, character. That said, we did explore this idea of destiny to some extent in The Guns of Fort Giar, which was the most recent book out. In that basically it's a war story, and at some point one of our squad, one of our well-defined riflewomen is going to have to die. We can't write a war story and have the whole squad make it through alive. So one character drew the short straw. It was Rosen, and she was the least developed of all the soldiers. So in order to make her death meaningful, I had to develop her. And the natural thing that occurred was that since she was basically destined to die in the final chapter, to make this a trope, to make this part of the story, to make her aware, to break the fourth wall to some extent and give Rosen an awareness of her own impending death. We do this through the character of Quinn, the sorceress, who Quinn is able to remember both past and present. She exists on a 1,000-year time loop. She's an immovable point in time, and by thinking back far enough, by remembering back, she can eventually come full circle and remember things that are about to happen subjectively. And when requested by Rosen for help, Rosen is a songwriter for the regiment. She's the poet and writer of the unit. She's the one sitting down with a notebook, scribbling things down. And at one point she asks for magical assistance to write more quickly, to remember now the things that she will write in the future, just to get a head start on her own material. And Quinn looks into the future and she sees that Rosen will only write one more song. And then of course up comes the conversation that Rosen is basically going to die at the next major battle, which she does. But there we have meat for character out of how the character deals with this, how they respond, the emotional states that they go through, just the whole story of it developing itself. What would promote someone to go where they knew they would die, to face the bullet with their name on it, to literally walk out and catch it, knowing the appointed time and the hour, not some heroic destiny, some pointless unknown soldier's grave. If they knew that was going to happen, what would provoke them to still go ahead and do that? And that really lies at the heart of the whole Women's Regiment series and the whole concept there. The next book out will be The Headsman's Daughter, which straight out the gate deals with a young woman born into a unique bloodline. She's the scion of the headsman, the first female heir of a line of hereditary executioners. The next headsman, which will be a woman, reflects the development of the society. 3/4 of the male population have been wiped out in generational warfare, and the women have continued the war until mutual self-genocide has seemed the only outcome. And they've finally stopped, and they're trying to rebuild now in the current books. The new headsman's adventures occur in a land where the great quest is a search for stability. Are there roads? Are there farms? What's the water supply? this stage in the series, we've had to get dynastic, if only to allow for the world to recover from the wars. This is very much the sort of thing that I grew up with, you know, grandparents and the World War generation trying to pass on an understanding of the futile horror that it seems in our nature to inflict one generation on the next. I'm Samuel Z. Jones, and I hope at least some of that is insightful and useful, and yeah, that.
A jump cut. It's almost like it only waited a few seconds or something, and then I actually cut it back in through the power of video editing, or some shit like that. Whatever. So suffice it to say, that was a lot of good stuff, though. I already know, because Samuel, I've talked to this fool directly. Trust me, he good. He good. The rise and fall of kingdoms, the politics, the religion, and the business acumen of the people, the opportunities even, these are all important to your world. They are, and they will be. Even if you only lightly touch upon them, even if it's just a single line, having consciousness, having awareness, knowing the gravity of what you're writing is more important than flippantly putting it out there and thinking that'll do it. Maybe it will. More than likely it won't. Something to consider. So, if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm starting to do that now because I thought that any place that you're at, they're not going to like it when you say that, but apparently people do, and Lord knows bigger channels do, so why the fuck not? Why ain't you brought your friends yet? Bring your punk-ass friends here and let them say hi. That's about that, yeah. Bring your fucking party-ass friends. Bring them over here and let's do some shit together. Hey, and I am on Fiverr, I am on Upwork, I'm all over the place now. You can find the links in the description, of course, as well as everything else that I'm doing. As well as, have you even listened to my albums or read my book? Bald Face Pandering Type. In case you haven't noticed in the ending credits, I have links there. Go take a look. Oh, and I will say this much. If you are a beat maker, rapper, or heavy metal, hard rock punk group, and you want to work with me, you want me to use your music in Haymakers and Hellhounds, the thing, talk to me, hit me up directly. There's a certain surprise I want to do at the end of the season, and I think you guys are going to like it a lot. So, with that stated, how is your world coming along? Have you thought about the rise and fall of kingdoms and all that goes with it in your world? Remember, when there's opportunity for business, religion, and politics in both the rise and fall of a kingdom. I mean, as it builds up and as it's broken down. It's something to consider anyway. So, with that stated, there you go. Thanks for hanging with me once again, and I do hope to see you guys in the next episode where we have yet another good friend coming in. And that one's going to be prequel consequences. Yeah, this is the one, prequel consequences. This is Haymakers and Hellhounds, Season 0, Episode 5, Rise and Fall of Kingdoms, baby. I am Thomas Duder, author of the things. And you, if you're Thomas Duder, author of the things, we should really chat because more than likely you're a doppelganger and I should kill you. Or you're a clone, in which case neither of us will be virgins. I'm not really shit. I'll keep that joke though. Fuck editing it. I like that one. Fuck it. Wait, is this the ending? Oh crap.